0.61. What? Well, if that's a 0.61mm pin, and they recommend a 1.15mm hole, yeah. Why doesn't... What size are these holes? Slightly too small, whatever they are, because there's almost no chance this connector is going to go in here. It's very tight. So I can't imagine that these are the right size holes for this connector. Did they drill them the wrong size? Ah, good question. Good question. Let's have back plane. Oops. Not the back plane. Where's the PCB? It's not really going to tell me what I want. It needs to be back plane. I wonder if that's the most. Oh, I suppose I'll pop it over and have a look. Actually, I wonder. Just have a look and see if I've got the manufacturing files already uncompressed somewhere. I may well do. Where is it? In there. Let's just see. I've got a drill file here. See if I can read the drill. It's not really helpful. I'm going to have to load it up in KiCad by the look of it. Okay. Okie dokie. Well, actually, I wonder how well this is going to work. Let's do that. Just got to add another thing here so you guys can see what I'm doing. That. Sorry, just be a second. Just be a second. Out of there. And oh, almost done. I'll get the hang of this one day. Right, I think we're close. Right, so now you can see what I'm doing. Well, I guess we'll open the plot file. Projects. Right, that's our board. I wonder if I can see what I need. I'm not overly familiar with this. Open the drill file. Turn a few layers off so we can see. And there's our back plane. What's it going to tell me? Is it going to tell me anything? Not really. I was hoping that I'm going to make me load the board files up. I was hoping I could. Oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can just shrink the grid. It's a bit of a crude way of doing it. 0.5 millimeter there. So it looks like those holes are ballpark about 0.75 millimeter holes is what was in the board file. And my pins are about what do we say, 0.64 or something, which is great, but it's not really enough tolerance to be able to, yeah, about sort of 0.6. So where are we? It's all over the place now, but yeah, sort of in the region of sort of 0.62, 0.63. So the theory is they should fit, but it's just the tolerances are so tight that every pin has to be exactly on the money before it will go in. And that's going to be very hard to achieve across that many pins simultaneously. So I don't quite know how I'm going to go getting these in, but looking at the, where are we? Looking at the data sheet for the connectors that are available, yeah, they're specifying a drill hole that's, what's that, about 0.4 millimeters bigger, which would make the world of difference. But this is the, I believe, now that's a Harding connector. The part number I thought I was searching for was, let's go, here we go. Let's have a look, see if the actual, this actual part is going to be any closer. Yeah, looks like, and that's the, what's the difference? Oh, $7.30 each. Ouch. What's the difference between them? Right, let's look at the data sheet for this one. The difference was one. No, well, the photo shows there. And neither of them are angled, but I wonder if they actually are. Anyway, let's have a look. So, but again, 0.64 millimeters. It's the same as the one I've got in my hand. So that's not going to fit the board. It's not going to be any easier to get in than the one I've already got. If this is anything to go by. Oh, what am I looking at? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to get these. In fact, we'll start by taking this out. These are going to be very, very challenging to get in, I fear, if I can get them in at all. Let's just try. Well, I can't see how this is going to. Of course, you've got to get it in there. Which way do they consider the right way? That's the other problem. Because the markings on the board where are we? 96 obvious. Which one's A? I'm guessing it goes. Because they are keyed. It needs to be right so that these boards go in the right way. So these boards have got to go in like that. I think, or is it that way? Yeah, I'm going to have to nut this out, aren't I? Well, let's just see if it's even possible to get one of these connectors in here. I'm not. It starts to go, but it's just so hard getting it lined up. Trying to get all of the pins lined up. 96 pins. I've got to get them all lined up simultaneously. And I don't know. I'm trying to get the magnifying glass right. Can't help. But in the absence of connectors with smaller pins, I don't think I've got much choice. I wonder why they made this so tight. Ooh. Oh, look at that! Well, huh. There you go. Oh. Tight, but oh, yes, very tight. And of course, there's only a 50-50 chance that it's even in there the right way. And I don't think the tolerances are going to be enough to let that go all the way down. Well, that's a bit, it's not quite going all the way down, and it's getting really tight because the tolerances between the board and the pins are such that the boards, yeah, well, the spacing's different and sort of wedging it. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do there. I feel if I get this in, I'll never get it out. It's so tight. Not ideal. Not ideal in the slightest. It does sort of go in with a bit of effort, but I'm not liking it a whole lot, I've got to say. And there is no, well, I mean, you can put these in backwards, but mechanically they're the same both ways, so it's not like it fits in the board one way and won't fit the other way. Oh man. Well, that is in. Question is, now that I've put it in, it's probably in the wrong way. It'd be Murphy's Law. See if I should have done this to start with. Let's see if the website that this design came from does some pictures that will give us an idea maybe which way it's supposed to go. A high resolution one would have been nice. So that's power. I can't quite tell. I mean, it would appear that I probably do have it in Murphy's Law. I probably do have it in backwards, because I've got the keys along this side, and they don't seem to have them, and the board's oriented the same way. So let's have a look at. Shrink that back down. Oh, there's some more photos. That one maybe. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Ah, no. Ha! It is in the right way. Because this one, the board's up the other way. Power connector on the right, yep. And the locating keys on the end of the connector are towards the power connector, and that is the way I've got them. So, very good. So that one's in there and doesn't have to come back out, which is good, because I don't think for the life of me I could get it back out. I think it's in there for good. I don't think it would be possible to get it back out. Just yeah, I didn't think these were going to fit when these boards arrived this afternoon, but looks like they might. Okay, well that's one in. Here's the rest of them. Keyboard out of the way. I don't have enough to do the whole board. I've only got 5 of them. The rest of them I'm using on another project. So we will endeavour to see if we can shoehorn another one of these in. What's the chances? Well, chances would be better if we didn't have a pin that was bent out of alignment slightly in the middle. And there's another one down here. Camera's not really in a good spot for being able to see, so I need to do something about that. Anyway. These are an absolute pig of a thing. Whose brainchild was with these? Oh, I suppose we'll take screws out too. It'll be unfortunate. Get it pushed halfway home, realise you can't get the screws out. See if we can get this one to go and make sure it's in the right way, because the pins are pretty much straight. These connectors are second-hand connectors out of a different project. I'm pretty sure they're wire wrap, or these ones are intended for wire wrapping. Just looking at them and looking at the system they came out of. And I purposely kept them because I thought they'd be handy for projects like this. And there's another one in. Man, you earn these though. Oh, well, actually that one went in easier than the last one. Something, I suppose. Maybe I'm getting better at it. I don't know why. You almost don't need to screw these in. It's not like they're going to go anywhere. It's really just for mechanical benefit when you're pulling cards in and out of them. It's 2. Yeah, the other board where I'm using these connectors is this one, which is still a work in progress, but that's a backplane board that I designed, and the drill holes are slightly bigger, so the connectors, I wouldn't say they fall in on this board, but they're substantially easier to get in. substantially easier, I think, is probably an understatement. Okay, try our luck again on the next one. You sort of feel them when they're going to go in properly or easily. It just sort of feels, yeah, you just sort of feel it. It's hard to explain. You just sort of get this vibe that it's going to work as they all start to fall into place. Cool. Yep, that's substantially there. Let's just have a look, see where it's not. It's hard to see, this magnifying glass is terrible. Here, there's one that needs to be lined up. But there's one further back somewhere. Where are you? Oh, there you are. Yeah, right in the middle by the look of it. There we go. Yeah, so this could be worse. They do fit, they're just bloody tight. Glad I've only got 5 of these to go in at the moment. And I can populate the others later, just pull the boards out and redo them. I won't be soldering these tonight. My soldering iron that I inherited years ago and haven't really used, the tip on it was pretty well buggered, so it's got no usable tip at the moment. I've ordered replacements. They were dispatched today, so it shouldn't be too far away. And the other soldering iron I've got just doesn't have a thermal mass. It's just it's a wimpy, $30 soldering iron. It's hopeless. The other interesting question is, and I don't know, I should see if these guys have done it on their boards, how they got into solder the middle row of pins. No, they haven't got them mounted on that one. I'm curious. No, they haven't got them mounted in that one either. Curious how they got the soldering iron in there to do that. Or maybe, as is the case with the one I'm doing, it's possible the centre row of pins isn't used in their design, in which case I wouldn't need to solder them at all. No point soldering something you're not using. So, oh, that felt good. Oh, look at that! Yeah, I should buy a lotto ticket after that one. That one almost fell in. Doesn't get much better than that. So yeah, I won't be soldering this tonight, as I said. I mean, look at them all, 96 on every, 96 solder joints on every one. If I solder them all, if I can solder them all. Unless their intention is, well, the way here is you solder the, maybe you solder the outside ones, snip them off, and then you can get to the inside ones. That might be an option for this board. I wasn't planning on doing that on my own board. I mean, partly because, as I said, the inside pins on my board, this one over here, they're not used. But I was also planning on leaving them on so I can hook oscilloscope probes and things up when I'm doing debugging. But this particular Z80 system, it's an existing design from retrobrewcomputers.org, so I know this design works. So the amount of debugging I've got to do should be fairly limited. The other board over here that I'm doing, that's a 6502 design, and that's my own design, and I have no doubt there will be problems with that I will need to debug with a logic analyzer and the scope. Done quite a bit of 6502 programming in my time. Haven't done a whole lot of in fact any 6502 hardware, so it's quite likely that design will have problems that will take quite a bit of debugging. But that's part of the process. All part of the learning process. Oh, there's a pin in the middle somewhere. I won't be able to see it under here, I'm sure. It's somewhere in the middle here, it's not quite lined right. I can feel it wanting to go in and it rocks. I can find glass to give me the willies. God, I think the magnifying glass is worse than not having it. Here we go. In it goes. Just took a bit of a wiggle. And we're in. So even though I'm not populating all of these slots, day one I only need 2 slots anyway for the processor and the disk card, and even down the track, I mean this has got, it's going to have 5 slots populated, so I still have 3 slots spare. So I'm not going to need any more connectors anytime soon, which is good because it's $7 something each. I don't really want to buy too many of them. Right, and that's in. Huh, well there you go. When I got that at lunchtime and tried the first one, I thought there was no hope in hell that was going to fit. Let me just check I haven't got any more of those connectors. I don't think I do though. No. No, didn't think so. Okay, so that's ready to solder up when the parts arrive, when the tips arrive. Power switch. I don't think I've got a power switch that will fit that immediately handy. Switches. Where are my switches? They'll be here somewhere. Switches. There's a tray of switches somewhere. What could I? Maybe down the bottom. Springs, washers, all sorts of hardware. Switches. These are all old switches, so I don't think there's going to be anything in here that's going to do the deed. Keypad. Don't need one of those though. This is what it's looking for is like one of these C&K switches, but an angled variant of it. Got all sorts of C&K switches, but no angled ones. Unfortunate. Oh, go back in there. Although, somewhere, yeah, in my stash of boards down there I might have an angled switch, but I don't know, they're probably only $1 each, it's just easy to buy another one. So that's about all I can get done on that one tonight. So this is the disk controller card. I'll buy some more IC sockets for this one and some IDC headers and various other components, so I can't do much more on that one either. And this one is the same story. It's got all the IC sockets on it that I've got. This is the CPU card. So I've got some IDC connectors. That's what we got here. So I think where are we? Yeah, so that's your sugar interface, your floppy interface. It's an IDE port, and the processor card's got an IDE port on it as well. So yeah, I'll be able to hook compact flash cards or hard drives or whatever up to this. The end game is to hopefully run CPM on it for a bit of a retro experience. So real-time clock goes there, I think, and the supercapacitor there that keeps that powered. A couple of push buttons up the top, crystal. That I think is a flash. It's flash ROM processor, and from memory is one of these. I do have the Z80 somewhere. It came out of a different system, although I'm not sure that the Z80 I've got will be up to this, because I think this one is clocked fairly quickly, and I think mine's only a 4. No, it's the disk controller card. Backplane, where? Oh, there we go. The computer. Oh no, they're clocking theirs at 4 megahertz. So I think the Z80 I've got's a 4 megahertz part. But yeah, this is basically what it looks like when it's built. Ah, there you go. The top chip's a parallel interface adapter, serial interface. So where is the? Ah, there's the Z80 right down the bottom. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, some of these parts I've already got in the parts trays. Well, I suppose we could have a bit of a look at some of those. See what chips I already have. And maybe even break the Minipro out and test some of the chips I've got, make sure that they're actually good to go. So, where is... let's just... No, that's not the one. Where's the board I had? 5F. That one. That's just gonna be... oh no, there we go. Is it going to give me... it is. Alright. So, 16550, well, I just so happen to have a couple of tubes of 16550s. So, let's get... oh, that'll do. We'll start putting all this in some trays, so all the bits are together for it. There's a 16550, reportedly brand spanking new. So there's that. And somewhere in here is Z80. And we've also got some other bits and pieces in here. We've got a 68000 CPU, 68010, which could end up being part of a future project once I've got the ones I've already got built. Right, so the flash we don't have. 74LS08. I might have. What do we got here? 74LS08. LS08. Rather than getting too carried away, let's test these as we go. Oops. So, break out the Minipro. Where's my Minipro software? Oh, yeah. remember how to do this now. We do is it tools? No. Test it. No. Oh, I was only playing with this. I've only just got this Minipro very recently, so I'm still. Is that logic test? That's what I want. Yeah, only got this Minipro just recently, so I'm just still working how to drive it. For where are we typing? 74LS. No. What are the? Oh, 7408. Okay. 7408. I thought it'd be 70. Would have been a. Yeah, no, it's. Ah. Okay. Well, that's not very helpful. For some reason, the window that I've got open, you can't see. Why is that? Why? Let me see. No. That's a bit. Okay, I don't know how this is going to work. Sorry, I'll set this up so you can see what I'm doing. I thought this would have worked, but apparently not. So, how do I do this? Okay, that. See how that works. Okay, so 74LS08 is what we've got selected. Chips in there. Let's see if we get smoke. All testing normal. Guess that means it's alright. I would have thought it would come up with a fancier sort of, hey, your chip's okay, but maybe not. Put that one in there. What's next? 74LS08. 74LS10. 74LS10. No, I do not have one of those. 125. Nope, I do not have one of those. 139. Where's 139? It's in the other box. It is not. So I'm striking out a bit here. 74LS14. Yeah, I've got those. Well, I've got one of those. 74LS14. Go back to the Minipro. LS 14. Yes. Ooh, okay. Computer says no. What's 14? So what's it complaining about? Seriously? Oh. Yeah, that'd work. If I close the ZIF socket, it'll work a whole lot better. Yep, there we go. Beautiful. Oh, there's another one. Another one I don't have to buy. Minus 40. Well, I do have to buy one of them. 243. Do I have any 243s? Not in there, I don't. And 245s. I could have sworn I had some 245s. In fact, I know with a fair degree of certainty I do, because I saw them the other day. No, that's not them, but I'm curious what that is. What have I done with my 245s? I know I've got some. Because it wasn't that long ago. That was the first integrated circuit I tested with the Minipro was a 245. So I know I've got some somewhere. All sorts of gals. Oh, there we go, 244s and 245s. How many 240s do we? Got 245s I need 3 of. Look at that, I've got 3 of them. Yeah, if I can get them out. 3. Not that it would have been the end of the world if I had to buy these, they're not exactly expensive. But these have been recovered out of existing working systems. So, where are we going? Minipro. So 245. And the right way. Test. Normal. Test. Normal. I guess that one where I forgot to close the ZIF socket was a good thing. At least I know it produces a fail response when it can't get the results it wants. And that one's normal too. I mean, these all came out of a working system. From memory, that the system they came out of was used in it was like a system or environmental monitoring system or something in a telephone exchange. It was a VME bus based machine, and that's where the 68,000 processors came from, and some of these logic chips. And the chassis itself I've cut down to half size, and that's going to be the where this 6502. Whoop, you can't see me. That's going to be where this 6502 backplane lives. Live in that chassis, but that's another project for another day. Anyway, that's tested all the logic chips that I've got, which really wasn't very many in the end. So we can put the Minipro well and truly away. Cool little toy though. I can see why they recommend them. It'd be fun to play with. So tray. Oh, here we go. Put in this one. This is where the all the other boards are at the moment. Because when you, like, I sent off and got these boards manufactured, and when you do that, certainly with JLC PCB, the minimum order quantity is 5 boards. Even if you only want 1, you've got to buy 5. So yeah, you end up with 5 of everything, which means you can bugger them up a few times, and it's not the end of the world. So that can go in there, that can go in there, go in there, go in there, in there. That can sit for another day. What else have we got down here? I did want to pull this apart, but without my soldering iron there having a good tip in it, or any tip in it at the moment, I can't really get that open because it's the RF shield is soldered, the tabs are soldered, and the other soldering iron I've been using in the past, it's just too wimpy. It doesn't have the thermal mass to be able to heat that up while the heat shield's simultaneously wicking the heat away. But yeah, I want to get this open because this here suggests to me that there's probably, like, knowing that this is a RAM expansion and clock module, this says to me that the battery is probably leaking. And I believe when the machine was stored, it was stored such that this module was facing downwards. So all the acid, whatever, that was in the battery. Oh, is that? Yeah, and that's looking a bit gnarly. It's hard to see, but try and get the angle right so you can see it. But yeah, down in here, it's looking a bit gnarly and discoloured. So I'm thinking that the guts of the battery spewed out and trashed that board. Whether it's repairable, I don't know until I get it open. It might be repairable, or it might just be a case of let's get an aftermarket memory expansion. I'll just have a bit of a Google, see if I can see what the circuit board looks like inside an A501. Yeah, I mean that's the board, but yeah, A501. So that's the. Okay, it would be nice to have. Nice if they let you see a decent sized picture. But anyway, that's going to look horrible on a big screen, I'm sure. But so this would be the. I need to set this up so I can overlay it, but the edge connector's up one side and the corroded panel is, if I'm looking at this the right way, the corroded panel's down in here and the area of the board that was discoloured is down in here. So I reckon that battery's dropped, that's in here. I reckon the battery that's in here, which is going to be sitting about there somewhere, I reckon, has dropped its guts and caused that discoloration, and because it was sitting that way for part of its life while it was being stored, it's discoloured that as it's corroded that as well. So I reckon that's going to be pretty bloody nasty in there. But we'll find out once I get my soldering iron tips and I can get that open in the next day or two. The Amiga 500 itself, sitting down here, looks to be in quite good condition, all things, you know, considering its age and what have you. It's not, I mean, it's a little bit discoloured, it's not too bad. Floppy drive looks like it would be working. I mean, well, I say it looks like it'd be working, it doesn't look like it wouldn't be. And in the trapdoor, there's no signs of excessive leakage from that battery, which it's hard to see. Where that battery is down in this area, and there's a couple of little brown spots on the metalwork, but nothing that would you know, constitute anything to worry about. So it looks like, even though that battery has probably leaked, the machine itself has probably survived pretty well. I did pop this open the other day. There's nothing unusual in there. In fact, when I got it, the warranty sticker was still intact. Sticker there, so it hadn't even been opened, or if it had, the sticker had been replaced somehow. So I'm pretty hopeful that this is going to behave. I can't power it up at the moment because Commodore, in their infinite wisdom, have used a, I don't know whether it was a custom square DIN connector, but it's a 5-pin DIN connector, but it's a square one. And it was, I can't think of the name of the company that made it, but sort of getting the feeling that they only ever made these things for Commodore. They were used in the, I don't know about 64, but I think I read they were used in the 128. Of course the Amiga 500, possibly some of the other Amigas. And they're not sort of readily available off-the-shelf components. You can get them. They're about, I think they're $4 or $5 each. The ones I've got I remember correctly, were coming out of the US, I think. It was either the US or somewhere in Europe. Because the other oddball thing that Commodore did, the, where are we? The floppy disk drive port and the video port are DB23 connectors. You got the female for the disk drive and the male for the video. I think normally you plug an A520 in here, which was, I don't know, this is the first Amiga I've actually ever owned, but I think the A520 was an RF and colour composite adapter that sort of sat out the back, a bit bigger than a bit narrower than a cigarette pack, and a bit higher. Yeah. But yeah, the DB23s aren't off-the-shelf components either. Thank you, Commodore. So yeah, the power connector was either coming from the US or Europe, and the DB23s that I ordered for the RGB video are coming from the other one, either Europe or the US, the opposite country to where the power connectors were coming from. Yeah, the guy I got this from, he couldn't immediately locate the power adapter, or the A520. It's possible if he locates them over the next few weeks he'll let me know, but failing that, I've got some on the way from overseas, and I'm sure I've got a power supply here somewhere that puts out the required, I think it's -5 and 12 volts. Sure, I have a power supply here somewhere that can output those in the required current, and I can make a new, well, put those new connectors onto the power cord and do that. And yeah, then once the DB23s arrive, we should have a shot at getting some video out of it. I don't know if I'll be able to get video out of it natively or not. May have to scrounge up an A520 from somewhere, or I do have the RGB to HDMI boards that I've got to make up at some point. I did show these on an earlier stream, but it's these little things designed by a guy in the UK who goes by the nickname Hoglet. I can't remember his actual name now, but yeah, as with PCBs, when you order them, you got to like minimum of 5, so I've got 5 of these, but that's okay. I'd use one of these for the Amiga. I've got a couple of BBC micros that these will be handy for. The fun bit's going to be soldering the CPLD on, because as you can see, that's surface mount, and assuming it's going to focus, the pins are pretty close together, so that should be fun. It'll be the first time I've done surface mount with a conventional soldering iron. I did see a guy try drag soldering, and it didn't quite work all that well. I can't do the other approach that I've seen, which is putting some solder paste on and using hot air gun to melt the solder, because I don't as yet have a hot air gun, so that's not really achievable. Anyway, yeah, there's 5 of those, so in due course we'll get those built. What's next? What else is next? The UHF radio I've got here, that can disappear off my workbench now that it's charged. I did repair a laptop screen yesterday. I should have actually streamed that while I was doing it, but in the end it probably wouldn't have been worth it, because the whole process took about 10 minutes. I've never done one on that brand of laptop before. It was a Toshiba. I don't remember specifically what model of Toshiba, but yeah, a couple of minutes with YouTube showed how it came apart, and then hey presto, 10 minutes later it was done. So that was pretty quick and painless. What else? What else What else? I do have a Commodore 1084 monitor down here on the floor that goes with the Amiga, but that's popped a flyback transformer. So I've got to order one of those. They're about, I think the one I saw online was about $65, but that was the first one I came across. They may or may not be available cheaper than that. Yeah. So that's, trying to think what else I've got to do down here tonight. So I could have a play with this little power supply and see if it works, but I kind of cut the power cord off. Not that I particularly want this to work. This power supply came with a retro computer I bought from the local tip shop. The computer itself works alright. I powered it up from the bench supply and it works fine, but I just don't trust this interesting looking homebrew power supply. It's, in fact, this power supply here is a work in progress that replaces this one. I stuffed up though. I made the assumption, this trap for young players, made the assumption that the footprint of the voltage regulator would be 45 degrees inside the heatsink, and of course laid the board out accordingly. Well, it's not. Upside down. I think that's what I did. Yeah, and if you put the heatsink in oriented correctly for the transistor, for the voltage regulator, then it ends up slightly diagonal on the board, and that looks like crap, so we're not going to be doing that. So the plan is, because I can get away with it, I'm just going to probably get the Dremel out and enlarge these holes slightly so I can put this on the board square, and things still from the voltage regulator still go through and line up. But the other problem I've got is this is a, I can't remember, I think it's about a 10 amp, it's a 7805, but it's like a 10 amp version of it, or it might be 12 amps even. But of course the pins are bigger than the holes on the board, aren't they? I didn't see that coming. So I've either got to make the holes bigger, which I'm not that keen on doing because they're plated through holes and that'll destroy that, or I might have to see if I can file down the legs ever so slightly so that it'll go in. You may be wondering in 2021 why I chose to use a 7805 in this form factor when you can get it in a much smaller form factor, and the same with the SCR here, which is used for crowbarring as part of the fault protection. Why I did it in that form factor? It's really just so it goes with the rest of the machine. The rest of the machines, it's a 6800. It's a 6800 processor training system from like 1970 something, I think 72 rings a bell. So I sort of wanted to keep the power supply roughly, well, sort of roughly period appropriate. I mean, it's obviously it's not, but I could have made it half the size using modern form factor components, but I just wanted to sort of get it halfway to looking reasonable. So yeah, this is the replacement power supply for this one, because yeah, this one had no, I don't even know what this is using for regulation actually. Oh, sorry, yeah, that's on cans on the side here. It's an LM309. But I don't know what the failure modes of the 309 are. With a 7805, one of its failure modes is it'll short the input to the output. So if you're feeding it with, say, 9 volts, if it fails in that way, it puts 9 volts on the output. And of course, that's really bad for your integrated circuits and other semiconductors. So this has got over voltage protection in it. So if the output goes above, I can't remember what it was now, it's like 5 point something volts, the SCR shorts the power supply and blows the fuse. It's also got a degree of, yeah, it's like backfeed protection, because one of the other failure modes of the 7805 is if the output pin has a higher voltage than the input pin, it can damage the internal circuitry of the 7805, leading to a failure. So this one's got a diode that bleeds the output voltage back towards the input side if it happens to be higher than the input, so it protects against that. But other than that, it's just a pretty standard 7805 style power supply. Nothing earth-shattering. So yeah, I've just got to sort out the mechanical aspects of this heatsink and the regulator pins so I can get them through the board. And then that will be ready to hook up to the bench supply and test it out. And again, as we're getting circuit boards made, I had to get 5 of them. So now I've got 5 of them where the regulator is oriented slightly out of whack and the pins are too small. Anyway, such is life. But yeah, I was at some point wanting to play with this and just see if it even works, or whether it was going to go bang. What we've got 8.5 and 0. I suppose I could. I don't need the AC side of it, so I don't have to wire the AC main side of it back up. I can just plug this into my bench supply. Well, having said that, my bench supply is DC, and this would be getting AC at this point, but that should be okay. I mean, if push came to shove, I would have a 9-volt AC plug pack I suppose I could use to power it, but we'll see how we go. The output side. Cable hell. Never ending knot of cables. I must come up with a better way of dealing with these, because they end up dangling everywhere. Right, so on the input side, we can't see. No, I'll plug the power supply in. I should have put a main switch in this power supply. Okay. So that's it. What was the tap on that? Oh, it was 8.5, still going 9 volts, near enough. Volts output. Okay, so that power supply is pulling a whopping 90 milliamps, which is kind of expected when it's got no load on it. See what the output looks like. At least I know powering it off the bench supply too, I'm not going to have something stupid like 240 volts on the output, so I can safely touch it. Well, power supply probably does work. Getting 4.94 volts DC. Let's just try swapping the polarity just to see if the other side of the rectifier is working. 4.94 still, so yeah, power supply would have worked without going bang, but I don't know. I'm not a fan, unless the transformer was faulty, of course. I don't know. I just, you get a retro machine like that from the 70s, the last thing you want to do is use a dodgy power supply and blow it up. You know, so you're using it one day and then the power supply, you know, the regulator fails, and next thing, bang, you got smoke and chips that you can no longer get, that you obviously can't replace because you can't get them, and you end up with a toasted system. So anyway, we'll just pull this apart, yeah, because I don't want the box, and we'll just salvage the parts out of it. Right. So really just salvaging the parts here, because I might be able to use them for something else. So I don't really want the dodgy looking sheet metal case, it's just a little dodgy for my liking. Surprising just how often bits like this you save come in handy down the track for other things. It's like all the time. You want like a cable restraint, like one of these cable restraints for a power cord. You got one. Oh god, it's the old 2155 transformer, the Swiss Army knife of transformers. Handy one day for something, I'm sure. I don't know what, but I'm sure. Never mind that I've got about 5 more of them out in the shed. You can never have too many. One thing I've learnt recently, so many things I've thrown out over the years, it's like, oh my god, if only I'd kept that. Including a lot of the computers I had when I grew up. Many of them are, well, not only desirable to me, but I'd like to have one just for old time's sake. And I look back and think, my god, I had one, and I threw it out. So not only are they good from the point of view of having one to play with, but they're actually worth a reasonable amount of money, some of these machines. Bigger screwdriver. Right, okay. Yeah, like even computers like the old, IBM XT. It's like, damn, I wish I'd kept the one I had. I came across my first PC. It wasn't XT. It was an Olivetti M24 that I picked up. Of course, long got rid of it. And I was at the local tip shop the other day, and they had one out the back. You wouldn't sell it. Not at any price. Yeah, if only I'd kept mine. And the one he had was in mint condition. It was beautiful. But unfortunately, he knows what it's worth. And they had some other machines out there, same deal. They're just sitting on them, waiting for the value to go up, because yeah, they know what they're worth. Geez, the guy that put this together didn't didn't exactly stress his drill bits out. This hole is like exactly. In fact, this hole is so tight he would have had to screw this screw into it for no particularly good reason. Really didn't need to be that. Didn't need to be that small. I don't know, maybe those spaces will be handy for something one day. I don't know what. Oh. Pretty quiet in the Twitchverse tonight. But then again, it's like my second stream, so I don't even know if people on Twitch are interested in watching stuff like this. I've seen other streams on Twitch where, you know, people are doing their hobbies like painting and wood carving and stuff like that. So maybe there's interest, maybe there's not. We'll see. If there is, I keep doing it. If there's not, that's okay. Don't really expect viewers to just magically appear just because I decide to stream something. Particularly at this time of night when half the world's in bed. But unfortunately for me, day job sort of means that I can't stream during the day when people, particularly in the US, would be up and about because, yeah, day job and all, I have to work. Work is about 5 feet to the right of me. I've got another desk just to the right of me with all my work stuff on it. Because, I work from home permanently, and that's not a COVID thing. That's just the job I have. That was the deal. Work from home, because I'm the only employee that the company I work for has in the state that I'm in. So it's not worth them renting office space. So yeah, I work from home. From home I have done for 2.5 years probably. I had a shifter here somewhere. A bigger shifter. What's wrong with that? I need to tidy stuff up so I can find my own things. And the humming, buzzing, whatever noise that you can probably hear, that's some of my work equipment in a half-height rack here behind me. Most of it's turned off. There's just I think one server and a network switch that's running in there at the moment. But during the day there's a few routers and things in there that get fired up for doing software release validation and things like that. Well, I don't know what I've done with my slightly bigger shifter. Seriously, I had it like last night. No clue what I've done with it. Really? Oh, there might be another one in here though, maybe. Or there might not. Okay. Plan B. Okay. No, that's not big enough either. I was going to get a bit agricultural on it. But all my agricultural tools are out in the garage. What the? Unbelievable. Well, maybe that fuse holder will have to stay there. It's not like a short of fuse holders. Such is life. These bits over here for the moment, we'll sort them out later. Actually, let's switch. Where was my tray of switches? There's my tray of switches. My tray of lights. I had a tray of lights here somewhere. Oh, really? LEDs. LEDs. Oh, blimey, that's pretty full, that one. We've got some. They can go in the general department. And then we've got this I don't know that I particularly want to keep that. I'll keep capacitor. So 4700 microfarads, a decent sized cap. I suppose I can harvest the few of the other components. The legs are long enough, I don't have to worry about desoldering them. Resistor, like I need to save that. Thousands of resistors. But I might as well. Since I'm cheating and cutting them off the board, there's no harm in keeping them. Little parts tray, which I kind of sort of have down there, but I don't really want to. I don't know if I want to use that one. Drop them in there for now, but Murphy's Law says I'm going to bump that and knock it into oblivion. I suppose I could keep the Vero board. Not that I've got any real shortage of Vero board, but it doesn't hurt to keep it, I suppose. Use bits of it anyway. I mean, it's already been got at in a few places, but bits of it might be useful. What else have we got? Not a lot. Not a lot for tonight anyway. It might be time to call it for tonight. Order some bits shortly, so I can get a bit further with these projects. Wait for my soldering iron tips to arrive. Yeah, not a whole lot more to do. I've got a another computer to do a bit of work on, but I'll do that probably in the next stream because I don't have the bits immediately at hand to do that. But yep, I reckon that will do for tonight. Thank you for watching. It's probably my first actual real Twitch stream. I've learned a few things along the way, things that I need to do a little bit better next time. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Thanks for watching. Cheers.